Yeah, I haven't even given them a
Oh
penny.
my gosh. Listen, we are kind of live.
We are recording
Oh my gosh, bro. The stuff we talk about.
currently at this present time.
Listen, I'm gonna get a new overlay and all that for the bottom. It should say KoolAid and Murph, but this was the only thing we got right now that got our names. It's kind of sad, bro. It's almost like we still don't got a picture together.
Dude,
We've gone out on dates, bro.
I have been scouring my phone. Like, I'm in utter disbelief that there is not a photo in existence of just the two of us. Like, it's like there's photos of you, me, and Jeff. There's
Ooh,
photos of all of us as a squad. There's photos of the whole group at the game, but there's not just a photo of you and me. I don't know how. It doesn't make sense to me.
Bro, I feel like we took one. I know we were rapping about that, but listen, we're gonna have to rectify that next time. Listen,
Oh
you
yeah,
people,
100.
we're definitely gonna do this. If you guys agree to this, let us know in the comments, please.
Man.
Are you guys coming out to this Imagine Theater watch party? We're planning for a couple of months out, February, March time frame. Would you guys come out and support, rock out with our best and our favorite Pistons personalities from Woodward Pistons, some of our Woodward sports personalities, and listen, some other special guests as well, music, giveaways, all of the stuff. And obviously, we're going to be watching the Pistons game. Sean, convince the
Not would
people.
you, will you?
There you
Because
go.
we're gonna do it.
There
Let's
you go.
ride.
Let's do it. Let's do it. You know what? Skip this. We're going to do it. We're going to do it, and we're going to promote.
Not will
We're
you?
gonna get
We're
people
doing
out
it, baby. We're sending it. We're
Let's
excited
rock.
to see you there.
And I need this, y'all. Listen, I told Sean we got a big year. We did a draft show. We did the lottery show. We got to do some watch parties. He has not gotten to watch parties yet. And y'all got to experience Sean in real life.
Me in person is a little bit of a different beast. KoolAid could attest to that.
Hey, bro, the energy's going to be
Just
live.
goes, hey.
The energy's going to be live. The energy's going to be live. Look, we're going to have Darren there. Darren McCarty. Shout out to him, man. Shout out D-Mac.
I love my guy D-Mac.
We got to get Braylon. Got to get Braylon Edwards in there, man. Adam,
my chief,
Jeff,
my tribal chief.
Everybody, man. I'm gonna see if we can run it back with some of the OGs that were there before as well. But
yes, sir.
What we're here to talk about today, we are here to talk about the direction of the Pistons. Sean, listen, bro, we can sit here all day, every day, and rap about what this team, what they need to do as it relates to firing this person, firing that person. I don't want to
change or else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, listen, we've identified exactly what the team has said. We've identified, at least from what we can take away, that this is a development year, that this team has made decisions, including shutting down Cade Cunningham, getting a surgery early so he can be good to go. Like you said, pre-show, before we went live, before we started recording, you said so that he can be ready to go, not just for next season, but the off season as well. They made a decision to get this team ready for next season, which I'm going to let you do the rundown of cap space and all of that type of stuff. So we could talk about what this team needs to do next rather than just kind of reacting to the night by night kind of ups and downs that we see them going through.
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing you're hitting on there, KoolAid, the first thing, like before we get into salary cap stuff and big picture, is I don't think this team this year is going to be anything that we don't expect or that we haven't seen quite yet. I think they're in a situation where, obviously, it's, when you lose your number one guy in Cade Cunningham, to a, season ending surgery, that just throws a wrench in your plans for that season, but that doesn't necessarily throw the wrench in the development of these other players. And yes, the development is going to have nights where Jaden Ivey and, Jalen Duren go bananas against a Golden State Warriors team. And then they're going to have nights where they come out flat against the 76ers. Like that's going to happen in this process. But, and people are like, change needs to happen. Like something's got to change soon. And it's like, there is going to be change soon. It's just the soon is relative because that soon is like 4, 5, 6 months from now when the NBA draft and free agency hits and when the next league calendar year officially starts. Because when that calendar strikes, KoolAid, that is when the Pistons can be flexible. That's when they
Yep.
can be
Troy Weaver
aggressive.
season.
Oh, that's when. Oh, yeah, that is 100% Troy Weaver
That's
season.
right.
He's licking his lips and looking at that entire July space in the calendar right now. He's just
Getting ready. And you know what, Sean? What you're describing, I swear you got into a time machine and went back to last year of us talking about the same stuff when everybody was freaking out and losing their minds about Jeremy Grant and his team needs to trade this and trade that and players are injured. And what is
he's
Troy
gonna
Weaver
lose his
doing?
value if you
He's
don't
losing his
trade him at
value.
the deadline.
Bro, like this is all the stuff that we were hearing. And then we got to the summer and what happened? How many new players, bro? Like what? How many new players on this squad? 6,
and then right away,
7 new players.
and then right
off
away,
the
we
one trade?
only got a 2025 first from Portland. Are they out of their mind?
Then let's
that
proceed.
turned
All
into
the
a
players since then.
Yeah.
That's what when we say Troy Weaver season, this is what we mean. Since then, y'all hear what y'all are doing to Sean. Do y'all hear? But listen, after that 25th pick for Jeremy Grant, it was go blue, by the way, Sean. After that,
Yes, sir.
it was what? Jalen Duren, Alec Burks, Nerlens Noel, Kevin Knox, Kimball Walker. I wish that would have worked out. Cap space to be able to sign Bojan Bogdanovic, right?
Yeah.
How many new people and pieces and players and rotations? And oh yeah, we drafted Jaden Ivey. 7 new players, bro.
KoolAid, have you ever heard of the game Bigger and Bigger and Better? It's where you go around a neighborhood. You can take something like a common thing in your house, like a lot of the ways we would play it. We would start with a pen, and then what you would do is you would go up to people's doors. You would try to see like how you can take that item and what's the biggest item you can end up with. Like whoever ends up with the craziest item at the end wins,
I
right?
haven't heard this, man. Look, you got me intrigued now.
So like the craziest one I've ever seen when I played is someone came back with an Xbox, another group came back with a couch, and mind you, they took that and just kept flipping and upgrading because they're like you get bigger and better, and that's how the game works. Well, essentially, that's what Troy Weaver did, because that's what he's been doing since his entire time being here. Because his first off season, he got Mason Plumlee and Josh Jackson, which he flipped over time into Bojan Bogdanovic and Marvin Bagley. Like, are you telling me that that's not value? And in addition, you talk about the fact that all the great players that they've acquired over this season, but also you talk about the amount of flexibility that they've set themselves up for as well. Alec Burks, a player that's, given the Pistons a lot of value. If they want to pick him up and bring him back, they absolutely can. However, he has a team option as well. Bojan, they just signed him to a 2-year extension. They have him locked up through 2024, 2025. That is still a valuable contract that you can trade to competitive teams around the league if you want to, because the truth is the NBA salary cap is only going to go up and up and up each year. And we're only a couple years away or a year or two away from the media rights deal that's going to be bananas. So Bojan's $20 million salary right now is going to be a freaking gust in the wind 3 years from now.
It already is, man. I don't even know what people are thinking. Think about it. He got paid what Jeremy Grant got paid. And Jeremy Grant got that as a player who many looked at the time as a lesser player than Bojan Bogdanovic.
And if that's, by the way, if that's the most money you have tied up on your salary cap, you're in good spot. You're in a good spot. Like if that's your biggest gripe in the books, you're in good shape. And that's the number one thing, is that they have the flexibility. They have the options. They're gonna be able to maneuver around and do things that they haven't been able to do, quite frankly, since they took the risk and traded for Blake Griffin.
Yeah. And the awesome part here is that Troy Weaver has a full complement of options. I know that he wanted his full complement of roster, and players coming into the season, and injuries kind of derailed that. Trying to figure out the lineups, believing certain things and pieces could fit. I know that they believed Stu could play the 5, Bojan could play the 4. That just didn't work out. Right. I know they were hoping to have Marvin Bagley at the pick and roll big to start the season. That didn't work out. Well, as soon as they get him back, then they're losing K Cunningham, and so it's just a lot.
And the other thing too, we talked before this season. If there was a season where things could go awry, where, twists and turns could take place, where a potential, where the Pistons could, potentially endure a type of injury like this would be the season to do it, because at the end of that rainbow, we talk all the time about what's at the end of that rainbow, that pot of gold that
Let's
every
get it.
team is trying to get and aim for, when they're at the bottom of the standings, that, the draft lottery, they're, those beautiful ping pong balls that, that decide your fate.
Yeah.
But the reality is, no matter where they end up within that top 3, top 4, top 5
Sick for Vic.
franchise.
Sick for Vic. It's
Yeah,
that type
this
of a
man,
year.
yeah, it's so generational. It's making KoolAid sick. It's
Let's
literally
go.
killing. It's
I'm
literally
sick for Vic, bro.
killing the old guard and bringing in the new. Anyway, it's guys like Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, not just Amen Thompson, like Asir Thompson, his twin brother as well. And then there's Brandon Moore from Oklahoma. He just scored 40 a couple weeks ago. Like, there's just guys up and down this entire draft, draft
Solid,
list
man.
that are just, heck of players. So
Yep. Yeah,
yeah,
and
they're not going to be in a bad space wherever they draft. And the truth of the matter is, people always talk about, I heard Mike Valenti make a point, last week, where he said, "Oh, well, if the Pistons, you're getting another lottery player, that's another year you're bad because you have a rookie." It's like, did you see Cleveland
hold
a
on,
couple years ago with Evan Mobley and what
hold
he was
on,
able to do and come in and
bro,
take them to the next level?
bro.
It's
Mike
like,
Valenti was the one when Philly was going through their process saying, I don't care how many years you have to be bad. They're doing it the right way. Just tank and just tear this thing to shreds and just lose forever.
and now it's
The
like, you
Detroit
better be
people
winning
will-
at some point.
He said, "Oh, I don't care if it takes 10 years at least. Let's think about all of the shots we'll get at a number 1 draft pick." These are the things he continued to state. Now he has a problem with the fact that Troy Weaver may take 2 or 3 years to rebuild, and that's it.
He doesn't watch basketball. But that's okay. That's
Football
okay.
guy. All right.
I don't give a shit. I can say it.
Oh my gosh. Listen. All right, we back to basketball. Hey, so I don't even think I saw you this yet, bro. Before we move into our next,
Woo!
Vinny Johnson bobble.
How are your hands not searing right now, dude? The microwave, that's steaming hot, boy. That's on fire.
Best of 7. So if the Pistons got 15 wins over a Western Conference team, sheesh, boy. This was their basically Vinny Johnson's whole career, regular season career, emblemized against the Portland Trailblazers.
Man,
This is a pretty
that's
awesome thing, bro. Yeah, I love it.
That's legit.
I love it. But I guess we could transition into effectively, what do you think is going to happen with this team? I obviously
So let's talk short term in the trade deadline, right?
correct.
So, are they going to be taking calls? You betcha. They're
All
going to
the time.
probably, yep. And, of the players that you're probably going to be hearing rumors about, it's probably going to be your usual suspects. It's going to be Bojan Bogdanovic. It's going to be
Sadiq.
Alec Burks. It's going to be Nerlens Noel, figuring out who, whichever team potentially wants to trade for him. Probably still, contenders probably still waiting to see if injuries take place, whatever transpires there. But in addition, you have to look at guys as well, like Sadiq Bey has been thrown out there in rumors.
Yep.
And, you have to wonder if teams, on deadline day are going to want to be a little bit, are going to want to pull the trigger on something like that. So I think for the Pistons, like, that's going to be the big thing. And, I know a lot of the contenders and names that have been thrown out there. Like, I know Milwaukee has been a team that's been interested in Bojan. I know Cleveland has been a team that's been interested. Essentially, like, name a contender, they're interested in Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yep.
What you have to look at is, are they going to in return, are they going to send something that's enough value to give up a player that at 33 years old is on the cusp of averaging his best efficiency numbers on his highest volume in his career?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Career
question.
high in assists as well. His playmaking has been it's been a boon this year.
He's at his best right now. So I understand the argument of strike while the iron's hot, but on the other hand, if you strike the iron while the iron's hot, do you know if you're ever going to be able to get that type of iron that hot again? Like, that's the question, because if like whatever first round pick that you get in return, there's no guarantee that you're getting a guy
Yeah.
that's half as good as Bojan. But
Well,
also, I think the other thing as well, you have to make sure it's like a pick of actual value and consequence. Because like, like at a certain point, a pick has to convey and actually turn into a player. We can't take I don't think the Pistons have much interest in taking picks that they would be able to select, in 2027. Really, the only way I would see that like being a scenario where they take on that like those type of assets is if they are immediately looking to take those assets like what they did with Jalen Duren and flip it into a trade to do something else, right? So for me, it would make sense with Bojan to take a Jeremy Grant like approach where at the very least you take it through the offseason. You wait until the end of the season because Troy Weaver clearly didn't mind having Jeremy Grant on the roster. He surely clearly doesn't mind having Bojan Bogdanovic on the roster. And honestly, I think if he didn't like Jalen Duren the way that he did, and if there wasn't another guy there, I think Jeremy Grant might still be on this roster today. You know what I mean? That's a whole other conversation.
maybe it's realistically, and it's what we were saying last year. This was a strategy. I remember leading up to the draft, trade deadline last year. These are the things that was being said. These are things that I was trying to tell people. These are things that Rob was telling me as well. And it was kind of shared amongst people in terms of what the brain trust or the ideology of the front in office and the general managers and the coaches and everybody, what their thinking was, is that Troy Weaver set the price as high as he did, and everybody freaked out. 2 first-round picks or a first-round pick and a younger, in a young player. He said it that way because he's not going to go out there blind, and that's what I continue to try and tell people that last year. He's going to do the same thing this year. It's his philosophy. You go into a trade deadline blind and you come away botching that when you know you can get to the offseason where you have a lot more control over knowing what's there, over knowing what teams are desperate, over knowing what teams are just trying to dump players. Those things change once you get to the offseason, which is what he set this team up to be. Apt players at the trade deadline if the right thing presents itself. But really, during the offseason, when he can trade and absorb, when he can sign whoever, when he can sign someone to a cap sheet over here to lock up this team, as well as know he can absorb players over here from another team and to be able to also garner the assets. Yeah, that's and I agree with you. Though I don't see him necessarily going down the road with draft picks unless there's things that can convey immediately. This team has to win soon.
Because they have to be picks of value, because there's reasons why, those picks are still available. And because you have to ask yourself, because let's say the Pistons do ultimately decide to trade Bojan. Do you think a Milwaukee Bucks pick in 2027 is going to have value? You think Giannis Antetokounmpo is going anywhere in 4 years, KoolAid? I don't think so personally. I'm not going to make that bet. Those are the questions you have to ask. Now, if it's like,
and Milwaukee's front office is savvy enough to make sure that if he does leave, the first round pick that we get from them, I don't believe it's going to be one that's cratered into the top, maybe one or two.
Now the Lakers 2027 first round pick, that's a different conversation, because that is a franchise that is the equivalent of a plane having a wing fall off, and they're currently in the air in free fall, just kind of spiraling and rotating, heading into the abyss,
it's the Lakers
into the side of a canyon. That's what's going on in LA.
Every time they come out of the era of their superstars or their legends or their future Hall of Fames, they go into tailspins of extreme just downs, and they've done it through each one of their championship eras. And I believe that at the end of this one is going to be, it is enticing. I could see there being an option where the Pistons do that, because it does, as you go into draft season, it gives you a little bit more draft capital, but only if the right deals are there. And we do know this. That's not like Troy Weaver isn't setting up deals right now, or at least talking about the framework of deals, because there were certain deals and certain teams that we heard the Pistons associated with last trade deadline that they actually wound up doing deals with in the offseason. The Knicks being one of the chief of them. We thought that the Pistons, we know they were flirting with Phoenix last year a lot for DeAndre Ayton, and that just didn't pan out. Obviously, it wasn't the right thing economically for Phoenix, but as it related for the New York Knicks and all the smoke that was coming out of there, ultimately some of the names and things we were hearing previously weren't the names that necessarily were involved but the same cohorts, the same teams, the same level of comfortability, the same ability to be able to pick it up and know we have a need, you have a need, let's do business. And the Pistons actually have the ability to accommodate us because they have the cap space, they have good young talent, they have the ability, they have draft picks, they have really anything that any other squad in the league would need to realistically move their team forward as well. In the
And the
trade.
last thing too, I want to touch on with that, like, because you touched on like a big thing of like what we were hearing last summer and what we're hearing in the deadline now, and we're hearing of what Troy Weaver wants for this player, what rumor of, what teams want for Sadiq Bey, all this stuff. The reality of it is, unless you see that report from a reporter on the level of a Woj or a Shams or like a James Edwards, like that type of like close in type of like beat reporter, until something actually happens, it is merely intel. It is merely, that could be thrown out there as a bluff. That could be thrown out there because a team wants to start drama in another team's camp. Like, that's the reality of it. Like, we don't know, but like the number one thing when these types of reports come out, one of the first questions you have to ask yourself is what is the motivation of this report getting out in the first place? Right? Like, it's pretty clear, like when it's like when it's like this team would reportedly want this for a player. That's either a rival executive showing what they want to give up, or that's them saying, this is what they're trying to get me to give up, or they're just throwing something out there. Like,
you mean like Jeremy Grant was like last year? He was reported to have to be. He was supposed to be. The Kings wouldn't accept anything less than Jeremy Grant in a deal for Marvin Bagley. You remember like that? And remember those reports came out, and other players were attached. Sadiq Bey. I remember Kings saying, "Y'all crazy. There ain't no way."
And they took Josh Jackson and Trey Lyles.
Say that with any type of sound effect, please, bro.
They took Josh Jackson and Trey mother.
Bro, their fans were just sitting there after the deal like these. What?
Yeah, we got bamboozled, deceived, just flat out. Oh man, it was bad.
It was bad, man. It was bad. But yeah, I agree with you on that one, man. I agree. I think that this one is well covered. I definitely want to hear what the people think. Definitely put in the comments and the replies. Let us know. Hit us up personally at our handles as well. Let us know where we're wrong. Let us know if you agree. Let us know where you want to see this team go as well.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it, man. Sean, anything else? Any last words?
Nothing I can think of, man. I think we covered it all. Just stay tuned for all the content and coverage in the winding months. NBA draft is right around the corner. NBA playoffs are right around the corner. We have a lot of different things to discuss.
Hey, look, y'all. This is KoolAid and Murph Pistons Minutes for Woodward Pistons. Till next time, y'all. Hey, Tayshawn, get in this, bro. Hey.